There's a new financial empowerment center located in the Wayne County Treasurer's Office on the 5th floor of 400 Monroe in Detroit.
If you or someone you know needs help with their finances, budgeting, and making monthly payments, the Detroit Financial Empowerment Center can help.
Wayne Metro Community Action Agency has counselors ready to provide free one-on-one counseling to help you address issues related to utility bills, taxes, and other financial matters. We can also help you improve your credit score.
Good morning, Highland Park. Good morning, Detroit. We are delighted to be here with you today. I am Sylvia Orduno. I am an organizer with Michigan Welfare Rights Organization, and I've had a chance to be here before with WHPR viewers and listeners. And I have a special guest with me today. Marion and Maureen aren't able to be here for today's show, and so they asked us to come and step in, and of course we're delighted to be here and be able to talk with you all today and take some calls. So if you will first help me welcome my special guest and also a member at Michigan Welfare Rights Organization for many years, the wonderful and delightful Nicole Hill.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me here today. I really appreciate stepping up to the plate and being on the show. And before we get started, I just want to let you know that our call-in numbers are 313-868-4336, 313-868-0342, and 313-868-0351.
Thank you, Nicole, and thank you again for being here.
No problem.
So Nicole is not new in any ways to being online or on television or doing interviews or really just providing a lot of information to the community. It's something that she does regularly. Is this your first time here to WHPR?
It is my first time here.
All right.
I hope it won't be my last.
Well, welcome. Yeah, this is a fabulous studio. It's been here in the community for so many years, and Michigan Welfare Rights has had this Ask Welfare Rights show for, gosh, I want to say like 20 years now.
Wow.
It's been a long time, and it's actually something that we've really valued, this relationship here with Mr. Watkins and his support for the show and for the organization.
Well, I'm definitely glad to be here again.
Yes, thank you so much. So, and it won't be the last time.
No.
All right. So we've got a variety of things we want to share with you today and actually get your feedback too on some issues. As you know, one of the things that Marion and Maureen regularly do with the Ask Welfare Rights show is present information about things that apply to the community, especially trying to make sure that low-income people know that they have rights, right? And that you've got an advocacy organization like ours that is always ready to provide the latest information to residents and the best advocacy to make sure that we get what we need for survival, right? And that's really been the core of Michigan Welfare Rights work for, decades now, going back to the 60s when this organization was founded as one of the chapters of the National Welfare Rights Union. And you all know that Ms. Taylor is the state chair of the Michigan Welfare Rights Organization, and Ms. Kramer is the president of the National Welfare Rights Union. So every week you've got a lot of power in these seats, right? And
Absolutely.
Folks that are keeping track of what's happening and keeping pulse on the nation's issues. And there's a lot happening these days.
Definitely.
So part of what I was hoping to learn more from you about, Nicole, is if you could share like the information that you know of related to what's happening with vaccines in the city of Detroit and in Highland Park. We want to make sure that residents have the latest information about where you can call to get appointments. Plus, we want to get your feedback on some ideas and kind of some concerns about what's happening with the Michigan Public Service Commission and making sure that residents who are having trouble keeping up with their utilities always know that they have the right to have their voices heard when utilities are unaffordable.
Absolutely.
So can you tell us a little bit more about the kind of work that you've been doing, say, in these past few months to also make sure that low-income people have the information they need and that their rights are being protected?
Yes. Well, personally, I have been working with the team to get information out to the community through canvassing safely, of course. And also I write a weekly blog for an organization that was founded partially by the Michigan Welfare Rights Organization, which is known as the People's Water Board Coalition. And with my blogs, I try to stay abreast of information that is pertinent to the community, and also get it out there and let them know that not only do we want their voices to be heard, but we want to make sure that they have information as to what's going on and that they know their rights as well.
Thank you. And I've been working with you for, several years now, and I've seen you just become this powerful woman in the movement. And so this is also like an incredible time for me to just kind of let Nicole shine, right? Because I know that a lot of folks might think like, oh, she's new to this, but she's been doing this for so many years.
Yeah.
And we met Nicole through Michigan Welfare Rights when she was trying to let us know about how it is that residents like her were being impacted by these water shutoffs, right, in the city of Detroit, unaffordable bills,
Yes.
and how it was impacting your family. And so I know that Nicole was really key to having the United Nations Special Rapporteurs learn about what it was like for families in Detroit to be going through this experience of being unable to afford your water and your sewage bills. And you told your stories and were part of a lawsuit back in 2013, 2014, and those years. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yes. So, as many Detroiters and Highland Parkers, and actually people across the state, have been impacted by water shutoffs, I was just like any other resident. I woke up one morning and found that my water was off, despite the fact that I had struggled to pay my bills for many years, but I always was able to pay something on them. But the issue was that the enormity of my bill was just a shock to anyone that I tried to contact. And I remember going to DHS specifically for help, because that is generally the go-to agency that most residents would try to contact. And I was told that they offered $175 for your water, and the water department was like, her bill is $3,000+ at that time, and that they were not going to accept the $175, and therefore my water remained disconnected. And I think I kind of went into a fight or flight syndrome and was trying to figure out what I could do next. I knew, as many people who go through this know, that not having utility services, whether it's water or electricity, is grounds for removal of your children by CPS. So immediately, of course, I went and made sure that my kids were no longer in the home so that they wouldn't be further impacted. And then I started trying to brainstorm what my next step was, and I reached out to Michigan Welfare Rights Organization and had discovered, because I really honestly just knew that I was trying to pay as much as I could afford to pay every month. Literally, I was probably paying close to 40% of my income just for my water bill. So I didn't even realize how much money I had given the water department. And one of the volunteers there, whose name is Ann Rao, she pulled up my record and discovered that for a 2-year period, I had paid the water department close to $3,000 in water bills.
Wow.
You know, and we were also in the middle of this horrendous bankruptcy that the city of Detroit filed. We don't even want to get into emergency management. That's just another ball altogether. And discovered that the water department was conducting this massive shut-off campaign throughout the city to make it a viable asset in the bankruptcy, which is horrendous, because just from me learning through this work, I discovered so many things that I didn't know about the city and about the water department, and the fact that our residents, you know, paid to have this water department, and now the city was using this very department that they worked hard to, found and create,
Yes.
and it was being used against them.
Yes.
So by me getting involved in this work personally for myself at first to find out what I could do to get my water restored, I started realizing that it wasn't just me. It wasn't an isolated case. There were so many more people that were going through this, some of them going through even worse conditions than I was myself. And I started speaking out because there's this stigma and this fear of your children being removed and how people are going to look at you, and this distorted narrative that was being pushed
Yes.
by our city that, oh, the people in Detroit and Highland Park, they're lazy. They don't want to pay their bills. And that's absolutely, absolutely absurd. The issue is strictly and honestly the fact that the rates are exorbitant for water
Yes.
in the city of Detroit and in Highland Park. It's horrendous. And knowing that, I just decided, you pushed me into a corner, and I started speaking out and I started telling my story, and it started connecting me with other people who were like, oh my God, that's what happened to me. And it really brought a lot of people to the forefront and gave them an opportunity to say, well, if she can speak out, I can speak out too. Because I felt like I was backed into a corner. There was nothing else they could do to me. So you weren't going to stop me from speaking out. And somehow it just turned into activism. And I'm glad it did, because it gave me an opportunity to not only help myself, but to show others how to help themselves and help my community at the same time.
And you have such an incredible, powerful story. And so thank you for sharing that part of it. I want to definitely ask you a few more questions.
Sure.
But I want to make sure that we also remind our viewers where they're at right now and that you're watching this station, WHPR. We are on the website at TV33WHPR.com. You can also watch at WHPS 15.2 in Detroit Highland Park. And again, if you wouldn't mind, Nicole, giving the call-in numbers one more time, because we will take some questions in a few minutes.
Sure. The call-in numbers again are 313-868-4336, 313-868-0342, and 313-868-0351.
Thank you for that. And then also, if you are someone who likes to watch your shows on Facebook, RJ Watkins, the owner of the station, also has a fan page that you can watch, and you can go to Facebook, find that, and you can also watch it online. And so we're going to be sharing some more information about ways that you can access this station towards the end of the show.
Yeah.
So, Nicole, I know that you have, again, been spending a lot of time, especially in this past year, right, with COVID.
Yes.
And all of the struggles that households, families have been having to be able to keep their utilities on, because we weren't sure at first, right, what was going to happen when the schools were closed and kids were being told, you got to learn from home, and then people's jobs were being changed, and people weren't going out to eat, especially if you had a job where you were in food service or something else where you needed to be working with the public. A lot of things that we've learned more about in recent months especially. But one of the things that I know that you and other folks in Michigan Well for Rights and the People's Water Board Coalition have been talking about is, how do we make sure that we don't disconnect water service from residents to protect themselves from public health, right? Because we've all been told that the best way to protect yourself is to be able to have water and soap to wash your hands, right?
Absolutely.
So can you talk a little bit more about how it is that we've been trying to work on the fight for public health with water?
Yes. Well, actually, to just go back a little bit, prior to COVID, we already had an epidemic that was running rampant through the city, which was hepatitis A. And we have been fighting since that incident, and even prior to secure and make sure that people have access to clean water and sanitation in their homes.
Yes.
But with an epidemic like hepatitis A, or especially COVID coming up, it is not just a basic necessity. It has to be paramount that you have access to clean water, to wash your hands, to sanitize spaces. And the thing is that you cannot do that consistently purchasing bottled water. The uptick of COVID that has been going on, it has actually now, as of Wednesday, resurged, where it was announced that the state of Michigan had recorded 6,311 cases and had 10 deaths, which was the highest daily count since December of last year. Just shows the impact. It shows one example of an impact of not having running water. These cases are not just simply people who just finally decided to go get tested. A lot of these people are our essential workers, and they may not have running water in their homes. And the thing is that if you don't, it's even more paramount that you go to work because you're trying to get your water restored, but yet you don't have running water. You're working with the public or in a public sector where people frequent, such as a grocery store or a restaurant. And even though during COVID, quite a few restaurants have been closed, to the public, they've still been doing delivery. Mm-hmm. So you still have to come in contact with things that these people have touched. And if they don't have running water, that is just going to continue to spread this disease and cause this uptick of cases.
You can bring it into your home and not have a chance to protect yourself.
Absolutely. You may not even be aware. And the thing is that if you've listened to public news reports or medical reports throughout this pandemic, we have seen how the dynamics of this disease has changed. At first it was, it's strictly, elderly people that they were concerned about that were getting it. So you have to think about elderly people and not having running water in their home. But now it has continued and to the point where young children have contracted it and got severely ill from it as well. And so it's just so widespread. And finally, they have now finally admitted that you can be asymptomatic. So that means that if I don't have running water in my home and I have to go to a job because I'm an essential worker, I'm spreading COVID throughout my job location. Anyone who comes in and out of that location is put at risk, and taking it back to their home. And if they have no water, they can't do basic sanitizing, basic hand washing to protect themselves. So that will continue to cause this pandemic to increase and to remain in this uptick formation that it's doing now.
That's really an excellent point. And so one of the things that we've been working on with Michigan Welfare Rights and the People's Water Board Coalition over the past several months is really trying to make the state legislature and understand the importance of this, right?
Absolutely.
And so a lot of our fight really started in Highland Park, as many of you all remember. And this was back at the turn of the century, right? When we were really learning about how it is that residents in the city here were having trouble being able to pay their water bills because they were skyrocketing, right?
Absolutely.
And they wouldn't get bills for months, right? And you all Highland Parkers know this well, that you'd finally get a bill like after several months and it'd be in the thousands of dollars. And you're like, what? I know they don't expect me to pay this bill, right? I didn't get one all this time. And then, first of all, it's not even right? And you never could get like the answers that you needed about how much your bill really was. But you knew that it was too high. Mm-hmm. They threatened to put it on your property taxes. And there have been a lot of things going on over the years. But Highland Park really was the beginning of this understanding about the problem with the lack of water affordability.
Yes. And
right? And really set the stage for our understanding in Detroit and nationally.
Yeah. I also noticed that point that you made about them getting these exorbitant bills that were maybe months or even years without coming to them. And then they're expected to pay this whole bill at one time. No one said, oh, okay, so we haven't billed you for 8 months and this is the total bill. We're going to give you 8 months to pay it. It was pay it now.
Yes.
Which is, it just put people into a downward spiral trying to struggle to pay this bill, because as everyone knows, you have to have water. It is the essential life-giving force. You must have running water. You must have water to drink. You must have water for sanitation. There's just no way around that. And bottled water is just not going to cut it. I can attest to that myself. I bought jugs at like 2.5 gallon sizes, and I still was just in the midst of turmoil because I just didn't know what to do. And I just kept thinking, like, I can't sustain this long term. There's no way you can sustain bottled water long term. You have to have running water. And people that I've seen that have attempted to sustain this lifestyle of living off of bottled water, it has just driven them into the ground. Like, they have no hope. All their hope is gone. All their their trust in humanity is gone. It's just, it's horrible.
Thank you so much for that. We've actually got someone on the phone who would like to ask a question. So, caller, we're ready for you if you would like to share your thoughts or questions with us.
Yes, I would, and good morning.
Good morning.
I'm fresh from the surgery table and just stumbled into the house and wanted to hurry up and turn this on so I could see if you all were nervous or not.
Miss Taylor, how do you come out of surgery and then get on the phone?
Well,
Can you be recuperating?
She's a superwoman.
But they wouldn't let me.
Well, we're glad to have you call in.
Don't know if you all had a chance to raise this issue about the Republican legislature talking about shutting off, talking about allowing cities in Michigan that have been covered and protected by the moratorium against shutoffs. They've released that now, so effective April 1st, any low-income person across the state of Michigan, they are all subject to receiving shutoff notices. And I've seen the language already, and what it says is effective April 1st through April 30th, you are responsible for an arrearage in this amount, and either pay the entire bill or contact the water department in whatever city you live in to make payment arrangements. And I wanted to make certain that you ladies talk about, now, of course, Detroit has a moratorium through December of 2022, but that's not etched in stone. The mayor could change that and take that back at any time. But I wanted you ladies to comment on the fact that folks in Highland Park, Hamtramck, Sterling Heights, Pontiac, Flint, Saginaw, Benton Harbor, every other resident who is low income in Michigan is no longer protected. And what Nicole said moments ago, we're still in the death grip of this pandemic.
That's
and
right.
Now here we have legislators who are actively recommending and supporting that people are not going to be able to wash their hands. Just beyond belief. So I'm going to hang up and listen, and you guys are doing an outstanding job.
Thank you so much. That's an excellent point. And so you're right, Ms. Taylor. One of the things that we've been working really hard on in the past few months, too, was trying to get the Michigan legislature to understand, look, you all are familiar with the stories about shutoffs and unaffordable bills in Detroit, Highland Park, Hamtramck, Flint, Benton Harbor, Pontiac, a lot of these emergency manager cities, right?
Absolutely.
Where the state had come in and taken over and basically, bankrupted a lot of these cities.
Pretty much.
Right, by the ways that a lot of the policies had been playing out and a lot of the disinvestment that had happened over the years in many of these strong cities. But one of the things we needed to also make clear is that in order for families like yours and ours to be able to protect themselves is not only did we have to have affordable water, and we had to make sure that everyone's water who had been disconnected was restored, but we needed a moratorium on any future shutoffs.
A permanent
A
moratorium.
permanent moratorium, right? But at minimum, you've got to at least do this while we're trying to get through COVID. And so Ms. Taylor's absolutely right. So we managed to correct this problem, at least temporarily, and get the Michigan legislature to agree to implement a moratorium that expired on March 31st. It was signed by the governor back in December, and it was something that actually helped a lot of residents just feel like, okay, I'm going to be able to have a chance here to take care of my family, get my bills in order too, right?
Yes.
And be able to protect my household and collectively our public health, right? By knowing that water wasn't going to be turned off, so we could wash up as needed and make sure that we were protected. But the legislature at this time has determined that that's not necessary any longer. That they were going to let it expire. In fact, they happen to be on spring break right now, but they come back next week. And so they had determined that it wasn't necessary anymore because as we're getting vaccinated in the state and things are improving economically, so they say. Not everyone has the same experience, right?
Yeah.
But that they were going to allow this the moratorium act to expire, and we would just be able to get back to business as usual. But instead, there's really no going back to business as usual.
Absolutely. Things will never be the same again. That is the truest statement that I could ever say. And the thing is that this moratorium cannot be negated. It is necessary. There are people who are not just going through a quote unquote financial struggle. There are people who are at their wits' end. They may not have worked since March of last year when the initial shutdown began. And there are also several people that I've met who have been unable to receive their unemployment benefits because in the throes of trying to get everybody financially stable, the unemployment administration was quite lax in their protocol. And several people that I've met have found that when they went to apply for benefits, someone had already filed a fraudulent claim in their name because they didn't ask for proper identification and proof. And now these people are fighting to try to get this rectified, which means in the meantime, these people have no unemployment benefits to live off of. They're not working, so they're just in the midst of between a rock and a hard place. There's nothing they can do until they receive unemployment. So therefore, if you don't extend this moratorium, these people cannot pay any bills whatsoever. So they're not just facing not having running water. They're also facing eviction. Oh, that's an alarm. I think that's an alarm.
Someone else.
I don't know. It might be mine. I'm not sure. They're facing water shutoffs, utility shutoffs, evictions, loss of their children, health issues. All of this is constantly going one on one on top of the other, and there's no relief. And so the least we can do is offer a permanent moratorium to just allow people to get their head above water and catch their breath.
And that's really what this has always been about, is giving people a chance to be able to manage.
Yeah.
Right? So you've heard Michigan Welfare Rights, both Ms. Taylor and Ms. Kramer for years talk about affordable water, right? Michigan Welfare Rights brought forward a water affordability program back in 2004, right? I think it actually got introduced to City Council in 2005, but it's the same plan that we've been talking about all these years that we need, that you can't expect people to pay for water and their sanitation or wastewater bills unless they're affordable, right? And so the conversation has always been, allow people to pay based on what they can afford. No one's asking for free water or having bills that, they don't have to pay. And when you think about it too, right? And I know, Nicole, you know this, and so many folks know this. No one ever chooses not to pay their water bill. It's
Absolutely.
an awful way to live. It's just awful. And you know that the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning is you need some water, right?
Absolutely.
You need it to flush the toilet, to brush your teeth, to make a cup of coffee, to wash your hands, to give some water to your cat, whatever it is, right?
I literally keep a water bottle by my bedside because I have severe allergies and drainage, and just having a glass of water.
That's
there
right. Or to take
drink.
your medication first thing in the
take your
morning.
medication first thing in the morning.
Right? So you can't live without water.
Absolutely
And
not.
so when people talk about, oh, well, people just don't want to pay their bills, right? They're in this situation because they don't want to pay their bills. No one ever chooses not to pay the water bill.
They don't. And
Right?
ironically, that is the narrative that's being pushed. I remember specifically a video short film that I saw where employees of Quicken Loans were on there. And of course, most of these people are suburbanites. They don't live in the city. They're not directly impacted by this issue. And they were saying, well, we want to see their bank accounts and we want to see a budget on how they're spending their money.
Yeah. And that's that narrative, right?
Yeah.
Well, I know Maureen has talked about this for years, right? That story that people tell out there, right? On the internet, in social media, or the whispers about like, you know, they could pay their bills. They just don't want to pay their bills,
Yeah.
right? And if you look a little bit closer, you'll see they got a lot of money. They just trying to not pay the bills.
Yes.
Right? And so part of it is making sure that we break down the stereotypes. And I know, Nicole, we've got another caller on the phone.
Yeah.
Let's take a call.
Let's take a call.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you. I'm Gracie from Highland Park.
Hi, Miss Gracie.
Good morning, Miss Gracie.
Hi, how are you? I really enjoy your program this morning.
Oh, thank you.
you.
We're delighted to
And
be
what
here.
you're talking about with moratoriums is so important.
It really is, right? And again, like we've learned so much from you all here in the city of Highland Park about this long-term struggle. And you all have really sort of also shown us like how the fight has to happen. You all have had to file lawsuits in
Yes.
protection of your families and your houses and fight back the city to make sure that your bills were fair and accurate. And so I know we're really grateful to the residents of the city who have really
Definitely.
been really impactful in how it is that they've shaped our better understanding of the problems, but also
Yeah.
been leaders in this struggle. So thank you so much.
So, well, thank you. Even though welfare rights and the People Water Board, are, intricately involved in that struggle. So we appreciate that.
Thank you, Ms. Gracie.
The lawsuit has been settled, but we're supposed certain amount of residents who are overbilled are supposed to receive credits on their water bill. That hasn't happened yet, but it was just settled. I think it was settled about a couple of months ago, so I'm just waiting to see what happens with that. Yeah.
So can you
I
give us
called
a
this
little bit
morning
more?
to talk to you about the Highland Park water leak pilot.
Yes. More work
And,
happening around
to
water.
encourage residents who've received applications to get those applications filled in and turned in, and also that they can actually get those applications filled in online. Well, not online, by making a phone call to the Highland Park Human Rights Coalition, and that telephone number is 313-753-3886. And let me just tell you a little bit about that pilot. The pilot is sponsored by the Office of Clean Water Advocate, Nina Sassy, who's really concerned about clean water. She, I believe, she grew up in Flint, and Highland Park and Benton Harbor have water quality issues.
Yes.
In Highland Park, we're using filters and bottled water, and Benton Harbor is the same, because of the lead, high level of lead in the water. So this Clean Water Initiative, the water leak pilot, is targeting 100 homes basically seniors, but there are other criteria like people who have disabilities, children, homes that have children under 18.
Yes.
Because it's very important for children not to be faced with lead in the home. But these 100 homes will receive pipe repairs, and it's called, again, a water leak pilot. So if there are leaky pipes in the home, they'll be repaired in the basement and on the main floor. They could receive faucets, and DTE has actually kicked in a water heater for people. But it's very important not to have leaks in the homes because you can get backup and contamination from the water that's in the pipes if they're leaking. So 100 homes, this is hopefully the beginning of a broader fixture of old pipes in the home. But starting with 100. So, if people have questions, they can call that number that I gave you for the Highland Park Human Rights Coalition. And if they think they should be part of this pilot and they didn't receive a application, they can call that number also and get a sign-up form so they can become hopefully part of the pilot. Or afterwards, when, and we're hoping a second round, of fixtures, 4 homes can happen, they can become part of that. So again, that telephone number is 313-753-3886.
Yes.
Did you have any questions for me?
Thank you so much, Ms. Gracie, for sharing that information about this program and for your leadership and Ms. Linda Wheeler and Ms. Kramer's leadership on this with the Highland Park Human Rights Coalition. I also want to share that there's a website now for the Highland Park Human Rights Coalition. It's HPHR, and that stands for Highland Park Human Rights. So HPHRcoalition.org. And if you go to that website, you can also get some additional information about the pilot program that Ms. Gracie was sharing. And you'll also find the phone number there and other information about this program. So I know that, as you're mentioning, Ms. Gracie, is that right now the pilot is open to 100 households, because that's sort of, I guess, the budget that the state was able to put together to get this started. And being a pilot project, Nicole, it means that we're going to kind of figure out what works best to kind of get a program like this started in these 2 cities, but then sort of develop a model for the rest of the state. Absolutely. So I was wondering, Ms. Gracie, can you tell us a little bit more about what you're learning and our residents responding to this?
Oh, sure. But let me just give you a correction on that website.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That website is actually Highland Park HRC.org.
I'm so sorry. Thank you very much for that correction. My bad.
What I'm finding as I talk to people is that they have a need for sewage, the sewage line repairs.
Yes.
A lot of people are having trouble, with backup in their basements. And this is something that was mentioned to Ms. Sassy, and she was saying that hopefully she can get some more money to deal with sewage lines. The other thing that people are talking about is winterization. Now, there is a Solidarity. They're offering, or they're trying to offer a winterization program. One of the pieces of information that we passed out when we passed out information from the sign-up form and also from Wayne Metro, we put that in the bag that when we passed out information about the water leak pilot. One of the things that people are mentioning is that they want winterization. And it's surprising that a lot of people didn't know about the services that Wayne Metro offered.
Yes.
So they were really appreciative of learning about that information, you know, because they do offer a wide range of services, but it seems like in Detroit, you know, they know a lot about it, but in Highland Park, a lot of people aren't online. You know, a lot of people aren't on Facebook, you know, and that kind of thing in Highland Park, the residents that we're targeting. So they didn't know about, and some of them didn't even know about the food distribution that Wayne Metro is offering.
Yes.
And on Fridays in Highland Park at one of the schools, it's
I've got a flyer here.
Carver.
Yes, George Washington
I always
Carver
tell
Academy.
people when I block on the name, I say, "Oh, it's the old AMP." Like, yeah. So
At 14510 2nd Avenue in Highland Park.
So there are a host of needs that people have, you know, because these homes are so old. One of the residents that I talked to, and I gave her information to Linda, and she passed it on to MCA, like the water department, who they do the billing for Highland Park. One of the residents I was talking to, she had a crack in her alley, and that crack was leading up her backyard and into her house.
Oh, wow.
And her floors were buckling, and her walls were cracking. So it seemed like that particular, whatever was going on in the street there, that was on Monterey, that was something that was, I don't know exactly what was happening, but it seems like it was water pressure or something that was making her house do that. Plus, in addition to that, that particular crack was in the front street also, and the neighbor across from her was experiencing the same kind of thing. And she said, I told her she should call the water department and ask about that.
Absolutely.
And so Linda did notify them, and I'm going to call her back and just make sure she, you know, has gotten some kind of response from the water department. So I you know, just a host of problems that people are talking about because our houses are so old. You know, my house is, you know, is over 100 years. It's about 100 years, but a lot of people, their homes are even older than mine.
Absolutely. Highland Park is an old, rich city.
Absolutely.
But under the ground, you're right. There's a lot of old pipes, and we don't always know what's going on underground. And part of what's happening these days is needing to take a closer look at those service lines, those mains that are bringing in the water, the sewer lines that are taking out the waste, so that we can better figure out how to protect our households with the safe, clean water we need.
Absolutely.
And protect our city, right? We want to have a city whose water system and sewage system works properly.
Definitely.
So thank you so much, Ms. Gracie. And again, I want to read over again the corrected website for the Highland Park, hrc.org. Highland Park Human Rights Coalition. You can find them at highlandparkhrc.org. And that website will give you more information about this water leak pilot project. And then also, as Ms. Gracie was reporting, for any residents who are in need of food distribution, free food boxes that include food staples, fresh produce, cleaning supplies, and hygiene supplies. Every first Friday of the month through June, Wayne Metro is giving out these boxes at George Washington Carver Academy. And again, the address is 14510 2nd Avenue. Again, the first Friday of each month from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And then, as Ms. Gracie was also talking about, is Solidarity is also offering help to Highland Park residents who want to reduce their high bills and drafty homes and learn more about solar energy. And so you can call them for more information. And the number there, 313-349-1063. And again, this is Solidarity. They have a website with their name. Solidarity, SOULARDARITY.com. And one more time, the phone number, 313-349-1063. And then one last thing that Ms. Gracie was also talking about is through Wayne Metro, you can also get assistance with your energy bills. And also if you need a new hot water tank, you can get that available from DTE. And so you'll want to contact them at their call center. And the number for Wayne Metro is 313-388-9799. Again, the Wayne Metro phone number is 313-388-9799. And their website is waynemetro.org. So, Ms. Gracie, thank you so much for sharing all of that good information, and again for the work that you're doing to get out information to the homes of residents and get people signed up for this water pilot project. I know we're really excited to learn more about how this progresses, and I'm sure when Ms. Taylor and Ms. Kramer are back on the air, they'll be looking for more reports and more updates.
Absolutely.
Okay, just one more thing before I leave
Yes.
you. Solidarity also is giving help to people who are struggling with their DTE bill. For Highland Park residents, they're giving $200 to help
Awesome.
towards those high electric bills.
That's terrific.
So that number, you know what, you could probably give them the same number that's on that flyer because I don't know the number by heart.
Okay,
So-
I'll read it out again. I'll read it out again. It
Okay.
is, that's great information to know. $200 assistance for your DTE bills from Solidarity. 313-349-1063. So be sure to contact those folks. They're a good organization here in the city of Highland Park and are really
Okay,
trying to do a lot
thank
to help
you.
residents. Thank you, Ms. Gracie.
Absolutely.
Okay, bye-bye.
So that makes me think, Nicole, one of the things we're trying to figure out too with Michigan Welfare Rights is how to get the Michigan Public Service Commission to be more responsive to the needs and concerns of low-income residents, right?
Definitely.
So we know that in the state of Michigan, we've got big energy companies, right? It used to be that they were like public systems, right? Remember the
Yes.
old Detroit Edison,
yes.
right?
Before they merged with Mishcon,
right?
Yeah.
And so now we've got these corporations that basically provide our utilities for lights and gas. Some places people use other kinds of energy, but at least here in Southeast Michigan, many people are on either DTE energy or consumers,
Yes.
right? And one of the concerns that we've had over the years and have heard from many residents about is that the bills continue to be unaffordable, right?
Yes, as the rates creep up steadily more each year.
Right.
Sometimes twice a year. I do remember, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was 2017, and DTE got approved for 2 rate increases before the middle of the year. So the rates do continue to creep up, but what I want people to understand is that these companies, their main goal is to ensure profit return for their shareholders. That's their primary goal. Somewhere they've lost sight of the people that they should be advocating for, which are the residents that utilize their services, instead of these rich conglomerates that are their shareholders. So it's definitely an issue with the rates that are steadily increasing that makes bills completely unaffordable for the average resident. I mean, it's absurd. And the Michigan Public Service Commission needs to do the most basic of evaluations and utilize their actual name, which is the Public Service Commission, not the private conglomerate service commission, and actually protect and serve the public that they were appointed to do.
Yes, the Public Service Commission, they're responsible for overseeing the regulations of utility companies, private utility
Yes.
companies. And so one of the things that they're required to do is have hearings to hear from residents about what they think about the proposed rate increases or changes. Mostly they go up, right? They never go down.
No.
About the rate
Never.
increases that the utilities are requesting, right? So if they want permission to increase the rates, they've got to have hearings so that the residents can have a space to provide information about what they think and any kind of concerns they have with what has been going on with their bills or
Yes.
with even the accurate delivery of services, right? Like we know that if we get storms and the lines get knocked down and people lose food in your refrigerator because you didn't have power for several days,
Right.
or there's some kind of transformer explosion and whole neighborhoods are knocked out, right? There can be a number of things that might impact your ability to keep your utilities on, even if you're figuring out how to keep up with the bills. So we know that it's not always easy, though, to get to a hearing, right? They might have a hearing in Lansing.
Yes.
And over this past year, as a lot more organizations and groups are having meetings online, it doesn't mean that it makes it easier
It doesn't make
if
it
you
easier
don't
for
have
the general
access,
public.
right?
Absolutely.
So we've been talking to folks that work with the commission and saying, look, you can't just assume people are going to be able to find out when you have a hearing, or you can't assume that people who aren't providing public comment don't have a comment, right? They might just not know how to find you or know where to make a comment.
Yes, definitely. And they
So-
don't make it readily available
That's
for the
right.
general public when they do hold meetings. I do believe, again, in 2017, we were able to get the Public Service Commission to hold a hearing in the city of Detroit, and it was held at Wayne County Community College downtown. And of course, some of the appointees have changed since then, but just to give you an overall idea of how they think of the public, despite us having several people come in and give testimony about issues surrounding access to utilities and being able to afford their utilities, they still allow those 2 rate increases to go through. So with that being said, I think that we have to communicate harder with them to get the point across and let them know that, as their name implies, the Public Service Commission, they have a duty to do what's best for the public
Yes.
versus the utility providers.
Yes. And so one of the things that we're going to be doing here in the month of April with Michigan Welfare Rights is holding a series of focus groups.
Yeah.
And a focus group is basically a group conversation, right?
Yeah.
We're going to be asking some questions to groups of residents, probably groups of about 10,
Yeah.
and asking people some questions about, what do you think about the bills that you're paying right now? Are the rates affordable? Are they not affordable? Could your family be able to pay more if the utilities are asking the commission to approve rate increases, right? Are you getting the kind of service and utilities that you deserve? Or are there other things that maybe the Michigan Public Service Commission should know about customers who have trouble keeping up with these bills, right, as they get higher?
Absolutely.
And so we're asking anyone who's watching the show or knows of other residents who are interested in participating in one of these focus groups to call us at Michigan Welfare Rights, because what we want to do is get signed up at least 30 residents who want to be able to participate in these focus groups, and we'll get them scheduled when it works out for people, right? So we'll follow up with the details. But if you are interested in participating in one of these focus groups where we're going to collect the information from residents like you who want to share their story and provide any kind of feedback to the commission,
Yeah.
please call us at Michigan Welfare Rights, and the number there, 313-964-0618, and leave a message, please, with your name, your phone number, and let us know that you're interested in the focus groups. And we'll be coordinating these either by telephone or maybe online or maybe on both. We'll see what it is that works out best for residents who want to participate.
Absolutely.
And we'll do these little kind of like group discussions. And it'll probably last about an hour, maybe 90 minutes. And we might even be able to provide like a small stipend. We're trying to see if we can make that possible just for your time, because we appreciate people taking their time to help us with this.
Definitely.
So if you're interested, again, please leave a message at the Michigan Welfare Rights phone line, which is 313-964-0618, and leave your name, your phone number, and tell us that you're interested in the focus group, and we will follow up with you this next week.
Definitely. We want to make sure that your voices are heard.
Absolutely. Thank you. And Nicole, as we're wrapping up the show here, we want to make sure that residents also know that they can get anyone vaccinated now in the state of Michigan who is 16 years or older, right? So
Absolutely.
everyone, well, almost everyone, except for the children, are eligible now for vaccines. And so if you have not made an appointment for you or another member of your family and you are interested in getting an appointment, Nicole, did you happen to get those telephone numbers for
I did.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But
Let's pull that
I
up all
did
here.
get the locations.
Okay, let's get the locations.
Yeah,
we'll
well,
start with that.
I know that you can get vaccinated at Ford Field, and also you can get vaccinations at the TCF Center, which is also known as Cobo Arena or Cobo Hall. Those are the two locations that I'm aware of.
Yes. And so let's see. I'm going to pull it up right here. So for residents in the city of Detroit, and again, the locations over at Ford Field are for anyone in the state.
Yes.
So we know that a lot of residents actually from outside of the cities of Highland Park, Hamtramck, and
Have been
Detroit
coming to TC
are actually
to
coming to
Ford Field,
TCF because as I've been hearing from folks in Oakland County that the appointment schedules are pretty full, and so people have trouble
Definitely.
getting through. But you can get an appointment here in the city of Detroit at Ford Field. And so if you're interested in an appointment, please call 313-230-0505. And that's it for us today.
Yes. Thank you for
Please
joining
be safe,
us.
get those vaccinations, and Miss Taylor and Miss Kramer will be back with you next week.
Thank you for having us. We love you all.
Thank you
Have
all.
a wonderful day.
There's a new financial empowerment center located in the Wayne County Treasurer's Office on the 5th floor of 400 Monroe in Detroit.
If you or someone you know needs help with their finances, budgeting, and making monthly payments, the Detroit Financial Empowerment Center can help.
Wayne Metro Community Action Agency has counselors ready to provide free one-on-one counseling to help you address issues related to utility bills, taxes, and other financial matters. We can also help you improve your credit score.